Can a bad manga actually ruin its anime? It's common knowledge that if a manga gets a good anime adaptation, then it's a big success. At least that's the common idea. The reality is that it's almost never a guarantee. There are plenty of manga with bad anime adaptations that are still some of the most iconic manga in the industry. And there's also plenty of good anime out there that didn't really change how people view the source material. So in this video, I want to go through this weird relationship between anime and manga and talk about how it really comes down to the fan base more than anything else. First of all, the obvious thing anyone will say is that a good anime will boost its manga. The sales will go up, the series will get more popular, and people will generally look at it in a better light. Of course, the example everyone is thinking of when you talk about this is Demon Slayer. And Demon Slayer is kind of a funny example because it really wasn't even that popular at first. So like, the manga had fans, but it wasn't huge before the anime. Then the anime comes out and people are watching it, but it's not an instant success like, say, Spy Family was. It really wasn't until episode 19 when the anime went trending all over the internet. That was when the series started to blow up. And that was only because it was a really cool looking fight. But it still led to an astronomical boost in popularity, leading to a huge boost in manga sales. Ever since then, Demon Slayer is still viewed as one of the best looking anime in the industry, and the manga wouldn't have been nearly as popular if it weren't for that success. Another example we have, surprisingly, is My Hero. It's weird to think about, but My Hero really wasn't that popular before the anime. It was kind of in the same spot as Demon Slayer, where it had its following, but it wasn't anywhere close to dominating Jump like it does now. And then the anime comes out and it gets views, but it's not wildly popular until later in the season when All Might fights the Nomu. Then the anime blows up, and then the series as a whole reaches an entirely new tier of popularity. There's a bunch of other examples, but these are two where it's pretty clear that their current popularity is tied to their anime adaptations. Which would seem to prove the theory: if popular anime, then popular manga. Or should I be saying, if good manga, then popular anime? Well, that's actually kind of the problem. As many of you are probably aware, you can have a good series that nobody really reads or watches. The example I'm always reminded of is Dr. Stone. Actually, before I get into that, make sure to like the video if you're enjoying it so far. It's the easiest way to support the channel, and it helps spread the video to other viewers like you. But like I was saying, Dr. Stone is one of the best anime out there, and while it is pretty mainstream, it's still not nearly as popular as some of the other Jump series like Demon Slayer or JJK. And while the anime definitely led to new manga fans, myself included, the Dr. Stone manga never really hit massive popularity as a result. Dr. Stone was actually one of the strongest manga in Jump, as it had over 200 chapters and received more color page spots than One Piece and even JJK. And still, the series was never really that popular, so that definitely undermines the whole thing of, well, if it's a good anime, then it'll be popular. You also have another example of this in Dragon Quest: The Adventure of Dai. Serving as an example of Toei Animation's latest trend in god-tier animation, Dragon Quest was a gorgeous anime that had me hooked every week for 100 episodes. And while many other people felt this way, the reality is that Dragon Quest was a hidden giant throughout its entire run. It's like everybody was watching it and nobody was talking about it. Which kinda leads into the real problem. It's not so much quality or popularity as it is fanbase. As a Dr. Stone fan, I can tell you that the entire time Dr. Stone was running, everybody read it and nobody talked about it. And when season 3 started, everyone was watching it but nobody was talking about it. Nobody was hyping it up. It wasn't until much later in Season 3 that Dr. Stone got its hype. With Dragon Quest, it's different because you're talking about a series that came out a while ago. So when you get this remake of the anime, you have a combination of current fans not invested in whether it does well, and the fact that it's not getting a ton of new casual fans. With Demon Slayer and My Hero, those both got massive anime popularity. Anime naturally attracts more casual fans, which meant they resonated with the broader casual audience, and that's why they gained that kind of popularity. So yeah, popularity and quality are big factors, but it's not as simple as good anime equals good manga. Naturally, the question you might be thinking is, okay, but what about the opposite? What about a bad anime? And more times than not, a bad anime will almost definitely kill a manga. The example I always like to bring up is Record of Ragnarok. Record of Ragnarok had a pretty significant following. It was being praised as the next big series, and when they finally announced the anime, fans were claiming it was going to be the next big thing. Then the anime comes out with its Microsoft PowerPoint animation, and suddenly the series dies. And I mean dies. The fans are still there, but I don't think I've seen anyone talk about Record of Ragnarok since then. At least not nearly as much as they did before. And I don't think anyone watched season 2. So clearly bad anime can kill good source material. But again, it's not always the case. There are a bunch of examples where an anime failed to meet expectations and yet the manga was still fine. JoJo's Part 7, for example, had a ton of delays that killed all of the hype for the anime, and yet nobody really seems to care. People still love JoJo's, and if anything, people probably like Part 7 more now than they did before. You also have series like Berserk and Promised Neverland who both have adaptations where fans will go out of their way to tell you not to watch them, but they'll still tell you that you have to read the manga because it's just that good. So it does make you wonder if the manga is really more important than the anime. But like I said before, it's the fanbase. Record of Ragnarok fans lost faith in the future of their series, and the unwatchable anime couldn't capture a casual audience. Promised Neverland and Berserk already had strong fan bases in the manga. You also have examples like Shaman King where nobody watches the anime, but the manga isn't that popular, but the fans that are already there are in love with it and speak up about it, which is why it still has some kind of relevance today. So the more you look at this weird impact anime can have on manga, the more you realize it actually comes down to the fanbase and their influence. And this only becomes more obvious when you look at it the other way around. In other words, the way manga affects anime rather than the anime affecting the manga. So for example, you always hear people say that a good anime adaptation will boost a manga. But as obvious as it is, you never really see people spell out the fact that a good manga can boost an anime. Which is kinda weird cause obviously it's meant to be the other way around, but obviously it's a big circle. A good manga can help an anime to be popular, which in turn makes the manga even more popular. Examples of this are of course series like One Piece, Bleach, and Jujutsu Kaisen. One Piece is one of the most popular stories out right now, never mind manga, so manga fans get excited about new anime episodes and in turn that boosts the overall popularity of the anime, leading to companies like Netflix investing in not one, not two, but 3 ways to watch the anime. Thousand Year Blood War was hyped up because Bleach, while memed on at the time, had a hardcore fanbase that was faithful to the series for almost a decade before they brought the anime back. Then when it finally does come out, you have fans of the manga going crazy over each episode, leading to it being one of the most popular anime out that season. Then JJK is pretty obvious. It was kind of in the same spot as Demon Slayer and My Hero before its anime, but you also had a lot of people saying that it was going to be a big hit. So unlike Demon Slayer and My Hero, you had more people already invested in the series when the anime came out, leading to more people promoting the anime. And of course, the anime is also really good. So you combine those two, and obviously that leads to one of the biggest anime in years. Time and time again, we have examples of fans influencing the popularity of an anime. They love the manga and go out of their way to hype it up, leading to hype for the anime. And the opposite is true in this case as well. If fans lose faith in their manga, then they're not going to care about the anime. And an example that I have to talk about is Tokyo Revengers. And this was the series that actually inspired this video in the first place. Because Tokyo Revengers has kind of been all over the place. I never read the manga, but I always saw people hyping it up. Then when the anime was about to come out, I saw people say that it was going to be huge. Then of course the anime came out and it was huge. Undoubtedly one of the most popular anime that came out that season, never mind that year. But then something happened. Suddenly, in between seasons, the manga entered its final arcs and suddenly, people started turning on the manga. Again, I did not follow the manga at the time, but the basic impression I was given was that the manga felt rushed, it felt redundant, and it generally felt like the story already had its proper ending, but the author was keeping the series going because of how popular it was. So then season 2 comes out shortly after, and man, nobody talks about it. People definitely watched it, but I don't think I saw a single manga fan talk about the anime. And the reason is, they just didn't care anymore. And now Tokyo Revengers isn't nearly as popular, not even close. And it's because the series' hardcore fans lost interest, so they all stopped talking about it and suddenly you have nobody hyping it up. But then you have weird examples like Attack on Titan where the same thing happened. The manga ending comes out and it's probably the most divisive ending in years. You either liked this ending or you thought it ruined the whole story. But then the anime ending comes out and it's still one of the most popular anime. The difference here is that Attack on Titan had a much bigger mainstream impact. In simpler terms, it just resonated with way more casual anime fans than Tokyo Revengers. Which isn't to say Tokyo Revengers doesn't have a mainstream appeal. It just didn't have nearly as many casual anime fans as AOT. So when AOT comes out, you actually have anime fans hyping up the ending, getting the anime trending. So then you have manga fans that still like the ending watching, then you take all that hype and suddenly people who hate the ending want to check out the anime again. So this is what I'm getting at. You have this idea that good manga equals good anime, or popular anime equals popular manga. But the reality is that it's really this broader spectrum of possibilities. And when you take the time to look at it, what it really comes down to is fanbase. Specifically, the composition of the fanbase and the relationship between the fans and the creators. If you have mostly hardcore manga fans, then the success of your series is gonna depend on how you treat those fans. But if you have a ton of casual fans, then you can rely on your anime. But even if you have a huge mainstream appeal, if you drop the ball with the anime, nobody's gonna watch the anime just because people are telling them that the manga is good. And if you have people saying that the manga just ended and it sucks, then that's gonna influence whether people take the time to watch your anime. So at the end of the day, it's not as simple as if good anime, then good manga. At the end of the day, like anything else, it all comes down to the fans. On that note, now I'd like to hear what you think. How would you say anime affects manga? How does manga affect anime? Share your thoughts and see what everyone else has to say. I'll pick my favorite and share it as comment of the week on my community tab. And if you'd like another discussion like this one, then make sure to check out my recent video on Netflix. In that video, I talk about the new One Piece anime and the weird history of anime at Netflix. You can find it in the playlist linked right here. Until then, thank you for watching, and I hope to hear from you soon.